Hi. So, continuing our lecture of the ocean currents, we will now do factors which affect the ocean currents. That what are the different factors which cause the generation, which cause the flow, and how do they affect the ocean currents. Now, looking at our previous diagram, we know that these two ocean currents are caused due to the rotation of the Earth. So, one of the factors which affect the ocean current, or the factors which affect the ocean current, one of the factor is, why is this generated? These two ocean currents, that is the equatorial current and the equatorial counter current. Obviously, one of the factor is the factor which affects the rotation of the Earth, or one of the factor is the rotation of the Earth, that is the factors related to the rotation of the Earth. So, one of the factor is rotation of the Earth. What does it generate? It generates the equatorial currents in both the hemispheres. So the northern equatorial current and the southern equatorial current are generated due to the rotation of the Earth. Now, rotation of the Earth also produces a force which is known as Coriolis force. Again, repeating the Coriolis force. The Coriolis force is a force which says that any moving object will be deflected to the right in the northern hemisphere. So the right and the right, or to the left in the southern hemisphere. So the second factor is the Coriolis force. What does the Coriolis force cause? The Coriolis force causes the drifting of the ocean current. So you can see this warm ocean currents goes to due to the Coriolis force, it goes to, instead of going straight, it goes and hits the western coast of the other continents. In fact, we will do in the importance of an ocean current. Again, keep in mind, we'll be doing that in the importance of an ocean current, that a beautiful climate, a good climate known as European type of a climate or northwestern European type of a climate is having some influence because of the warm ocean currents. In fact, why are the ports ice free throughout the year or open throughout the year in this polar region? It has something to do with the ocean currents. Why the ocean current is reaching there? It is due to the Coriolis force, because of the drifting of the ocean currents. So these are the two factors. Now the third factor is factors which relate to the the third factor is the factors which relate to these two factors. We can classify them as the factors relating to the rotation of the Earth. Now, the third kind of a factor which is generated, it is the factors which relate to the ocean, to the oceans themselves. Now, what are these factors which relate to the oceans? The warm ocean water in the equatorial regions. If this is an equatorial region, the warm ocean water in the equatorial regions gets expanded. Anything is expanded on heating. So the warm ocean water is also expanded, and due to the expansion, it flows as a surface current. To the which region? To the polar region. So if this is again our hypothetical continent, in this region, in the equatorial region, due to expansion and warming of the warm ocean water flows towards the polar regions because of expansion. So factors related to the ocean, one is the temperature difference. One is the temperature. How is the temperature causing? The warm ocean water is lighter, it expands and it flows as a surface current. Again, the cold ocean water is denser because of the contraction. It gets dense, and because of the dense, there is increase in the density and weight of an ocean water, and therefore the cold ocean water sinks down. The cold ocean water sinks down, and after reaching a certain depth, it moves towards the regions of warm ocean water, and then it comes up. So this is how the ocean currents look in three-dimensional. That is, the warm ocean water flows as a surface current, while the cold ocean water, see, it is sinking downwards and then going to the warm regions if this is the surface of the ocean, the warm ocean water will flow as a surface current, while the cold ocean water flows as a subsurface current. cold ocean water flows as a subsurface current, while the warm ocean water flows as a surface current. So what are the factors related to the temperature? The factor which relate to the temperature, again remember this for both your prelims and mains examination. Temperature may the warm ocean water flows as a surface current. As surface current. While the cold ocean water, denser ocean water sinks and flows as a subsurface current. And it flows as a subsurface current. So the cold ocean water sinks and it flows as a subsurface current. So surface current versus the subsurface current. Now the second factor which is related is the salinity difference. How is the salinity difference? If the temperature is same of both the water, but if there is a greater salinity, that is the greater amount of salt, which will be the denser? The amount of water which is having less saline salts, or the amount of water which is having greater salts? Tell me, this is logical, very much logical. Obviously the water which is having greater salinity, if a temperature is same, the amount of water which is having greater salinity, it is denser. So if the two areas are having equal temperature, the denser water will, because it is denser, it is heavier, it will sink downwards. So the denser water will sink downwards, while it will flow as an subsurface current, while the lighter water will flow as a surface current. Same here, the denser water will sink and flow as a subsurface current, while lighter ocean water which is having less salinity will flow as a surface current. As a surface current. So, why this water is denser? Because the amount of salinity here is high. Why this water is lighter? Because यहाँ पे the amount of salinity is low. So, in the areas of high salinity, the water becomes denser and it will sink and flow as a subsurface current. And in the areas of low water salinity, the amount of water is the density of water is less, so the water is lighter and it flows as a surface current. That means the third factor itself, after the temperature and salinity, the third factor is density. The third factor is density. Again here, the thing is same, that is the denser water will sink downwards and flow as a subsurface current, while the lighter water will flow as a surface current. So the factors which are related to the oceans are temperature. In the temperature, the warm ocean water from the equatorial regions flows as a surface current. So remember, the equatorial regions, say, or whatever the warm current is, warm currents are surface currents, while the cold ocean water is, because it is heavier, it will sink and flow as a subsurface current. That means whatever the cold currents we are going to study, they are the subsurface currents. So this is the factor which is related to the temperature. The second factor is related to the salinity. In the areas of high salinity, the water is denser and it will sink and flow as a subsurface current. In the areas of low salinity, the water is lighter and therefore it will sink. It won't sink and it will flow as a surface current. And the third factor is related to the density. The thing is same. Denser water is heavier and it swings downwards. Lighter water is flows as a surface current. So, but remember one thing, because you are a general studies student, you do not go too much deep into the dynamics of ocean water. Why I am saying dynamics of ocean water? Because temperature, salinity and density, these are not to be considered in isolation. There are various factors and these all three are interrelated. So they are never considered in isolation. It may happen that the temperature of an ocean water is same, but their salinity is different. For example, Mediterranean Sea and uske baaju ka Atlantic Ocean. Temperature of ocean water is same, but the Mediterranean Sea has greater density. So the water from the Mediterranean Sea is because of greater salinity. Mediterranean Sea has a greater salinity, 40 parts per thousand, while the surrounding ocean that is Atlantic Ocean, has a lesser salinity. Therefore, because of the greater salinity, though their temperatures are same, the Mediterranean Sea ka water becomes denser and it flows as a subsurface current towards the Atlantic Ocean, while the water from the Atlantic Ocean flows as a surface current and it enters the Mediterranean Sea region. Similarly, in the Red Sea versus the Arabian Sea. Red Sea is an arm or a gulf of an Arabian Sea. So in the Red Sea region, because of high density, subsurface current, while in the surrounding regions of the Arabian Sea, amount of density is less. Why? Because again related to the salinity. So these are interrelated factors. But what are the factors which are related to the ocean currents? The first factor is rotation of the earth and generation of the Coriolis force. Second is factors related to the ocean currents, that is temperature, salinity and the density. The third factor is factors which are related. I will rub this and write. So the factors are temperature, salinity, density. The third factor is the factor which is related to the next factor is, the fourth factor is factor which is related to the atmosphere. Factors which are related to the atmosphere. Now, what are the factors which are related to the atmosphere? Air pressure, winds, amount of rainfall. These are the factors which are related to the atmosphere. So, the amount of rainfall, evaporation, air pressure, winds are the factors related to the atmosphere. Now, how is the factors which are related to the atmosphere? The first factor is pressure. In the areas of high pressure, what is there? In the areas of high pressure, there is less amount of rainfall. Obviously, therefore, it is a high pressure belt. So the areas of high pressure and while the areas of low pressure will be having a greater rainfall. You know this from the climatology. So the amount of water level, because of higher rainfall, there will be a greater amount of water level in the areas of low pressure, while there will be less water level in the areas of high pressure. Therefore, water will flow as an ocean current. So one factor is the pressure. The second important factor which is related here is the winds. In fact, in winds you remember, winds are the single most important factor for the generation of an ocean current. As we have seen, most of the ocean current follow the direction of the prevailing winds. If this is one continent, if this is the other continent, and if this is the world, most of the ocean currents, the equatorial current will be generated. So the equatorial current is generated. Why? Because this is the way winds will flow in the area of a doldrums, very weak winds. Uske baad the current comes under the influence of a trade winds and goes to the northern hemisphere. This current also comes under the influence of a trade winds. This current flows as a westerly wind drift because it comes under the influence of an westerly winds. Again, some current comes here, again due to the winds here. Some current comes here and the winds drive them and the Coriolis force drive them. So winds are one of the greatest factor for the generation of the ocean current. Rotation of the earth causes weak winds which are known as tropical easterlies. Tropical easterlies generate equatorial currents, and the equatorial currents say the entire dynamics of the ocean water starts. So winds are the major factor. In fact, ocean currents, most of the ocean currents follow the direction of the prevailing wind. So, in fact, most of the ocean currents here follow the direction of the prevailing winds. Most of the ocean currents follow direction of the prevailing winds. Yeah, permanent winds. So see here why it is going like this, due to the influence of an westerly winds. In fact, when we'll do the currents of North Indian Ocean, we will see there are two currents in the North Indian Ocean. Because North Indian Ocean has a different dynamic. That is southwest current and the northeast currents. What is southwest and northeast current related to? It is related to the direction of the wind, that is direction of the monsoon winds. So the wind is the single most important factor for the generation of an ocean current. I hope that you are following. We are doing the factors which are required for the currents. One is the rotation of the earth and the Coriolis force. Then temperature, salinity and density differences. Then factors are related to the atmosphere, that is pressure, winds. Now the other factors which are related to the atmosphere are rainfall and evaporation. So the third factor which is related to the atmosphere is rainfall and evaporation. What is the factor which is related to the areas of rainfall? In the areas of rainfall, what will be in the areas of high rainfall, what will be the water level? Water level will be lesser or it will be at a greater height. Obviously, in the areas of a higher rainfall, there will be greater water level. In the areas of high evaporation, the amount of water level will be lesser. And therefore, the ocean current will flow from the areas of a greater rainfall to the areas of a lesser rainfall. So this is how the mechanism of rainfall and evaporation is somewhat related to the ocean currents. Again, because we are doing GS, we just should have an idea of the factors. I am not going too much into the detail of the ocean currents. Of these factors. So the factors related to the atmosphere, pressure, winds, rainfall and evaporation. Now the next factor which is related is the factors which modify the ocean currents, that is change the direction of an ocean currents. These are the factors. So we are doing the factors. The next factor is the direction, shape and the configuration of the coast, or the shape and the configuration of the coast and configuration of a coast. What do you mean by shape and a configuration of a coast? Again, see here. If this is a coastline of some region, which is this? This is the North America region, Cuba, West Indies, and take this another coastline. Take for example our own country, India itself. Then how the ocean currents in this region? In this region, the one ocean current which is coming is flowing to the outside the Gulf of Mexico, outside the Gulf of Mexico. The other ocean current is entering the Gulf of Mexico, and it is then going and joining this region. So this is one ocean current, this is two other ocean currents. Why the two ocean currents when in our generalized diagram we studied only one ocean current? It is because the shape of a coastline is there. It is just one ocean current, but because of the presence of islands, it is getting bifurcated in different directions. Same with India. The ocean current comes this way, then because of the shape of India, flows this way during the summer season, while during the winter season it flows this way. That is the northeast monsoon current. Again related to the shape, configuration and the direction of an coastline. So this is the other factor, how the shape of a coastline, they modify or they change the direction of an ocean current. So the direction of the ocean current is changed because the shape of a coastline deflects the winds, deflects the prevailing winds, and therefore the deflection of the winds causes change in the direction of an ocean current. So this is the shape of an coastline, which includes the bottom relief of the ocean, which includes the direction. And then there is a seasonal variation in the ocean currents. Why seasonal variation in the ocean currents? Because seasons ke according the winds change. The seasons ke according the winds which change their direction are known as an monsoon winds. I am again repeating this, with simple questions are asked in the preliminary examination. What are the monsoon winds and all? So the winds in which there is complete reversal in the direction of an ocean current. So seasonal variation in the ocean currents. There are seasonal factors, or we can say there are seasons are the factors which are there are seasonal variations in the factors which affect the ocean current. For example, again we'll take India itself. During the summer season, because the monsoon winds is blowing from southwest, we are having southwest current, which flows in this way. Why? Because it follows the monsoon winds. It is following the winds which are blowing in this direction. So it is modified by the coast of India. So one seasonal factor, therefore the ocean currents are coming in the direction of the winds. So one of the factor is wind. Then due to the shape, it gets modified in this format. And during the winter season, we have northeast monsoon. That means the winds are blowing this way. Therefore, the ocean currents blow this way. They get modified by the coastline. And then again, they blow this way. So these are the seasonal factors or seasonal variation. So these are the different factors which determine the ocean currents. I will again repeat the factors, what we did. What are the different factors we did? First, we are doing the factors which affect the ocean currents. One is the rotation of the earth. Second is the force which is generated due to the rotation of the earth. That is the Coriolis force. It causes deflection of the ocean currents. Third is temperature. Fourth is, that is temperature, salinity. I will take this together only, and density of ocean water. Fourth is pressure and winds that are related to the atmosphere. Most of the ocean currents in the world follow the direction of the prevailing winds. We have done this again and again. I have told you, shown you with the example of northeast and southeast monsoon too. Rainfall and evaporation. A minor factor this is, rainfall and evaporation. Then direction, shape of coastline, direction, shape of a coastline includes the bottom relief of an ocean, because even the presence of ocean ridge or mid-oceanic ridge will influence the direction of ocean current, because while going over the mid-oceanic ridges, the ocean currents will be deflected into the different directions. So, bottom relief of an ocean, bottom relief of oceans, and then seasonal variations. There are seasons. Seasons will influence the ocean currents. Now these are the different factors. How is the question asked? They will give you some of this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 1, 2, 3, 4, and they will ask which of the following are the factors which affect the ocean currents. A, B, C, D, A, B, C, all of the above, none of the above. So these are the factors which affect the ocean current. Or they will ask you some of the more conceptual part. Rotation of the earth generates Coriolis force. Coriolis force deflect the ocean currents. Deflection of the ocean current causes some kind of a climate, which we will do while doing the significance of an ocean current. Temperature, salinity and density differences causes lighter and denser water. The lighter, hotter water flows as a warm ocean currents on the surface. The cold and denser water sinks downwards and flows as a subsurface current. So density, salinity increases the density. Greater the salinity, the water will flow as a subsurface current. Lesser the salinity, the water will flow as a surface current. Mediterranean Sea has a greater salinity and therefore water flows as a subsurface current towards the surrounding Atlantic Ocean, which though at a same temperature is having lesser salinity than the Mediterranean Sea. Pressure and winds. Most of the ocean currents in the world follow the direction of a permanent winds. So west wind drift le lo, or take an example of the Atlantic drift or the Pacific drift, the different kind of an ocean currents. Why are the winds generated? Winds are generated due to the difference in pressure. Rainfall and evaporation are minor factors, but they are the factors which you should remember. Direction, shape of a coastline, they will change or modify the ocean currents. They will, for example, I told you that in how the Gulf of Mexico, one current goes and one current goes above the Caribbean islands or the West Indies island. Why this bifurcation of an ocean current? Because the shape of a coastline. Bottom relief of an ocean, the presence of a mid-Atlantic ridge, mid-oceanic ridge. For example, mid-Atlantic ridge, the presence of a mid-oceanic ridge, sea mounts also will deflect the ocean currents. Subsurface currents will be affected more. And seasonal variations in the ocean currents. So these are the factors which are related to the ocean currents. Time for one assignment. A simple question in 200 words. What are ocean currents? What are ocean currents? Identify the factors. Identify the factors related or factors responsible for the ocean currents. For ocean currents. For the ocean currents. What are the factors which are responsible for the ocean current? So this is an assignment. Write it down, share it, or even you can mail them to me, or you can add it on my Facebook page also. I will reply it to you with whatever the changes are required. In the next lecture, I will give you the mail ID also specifically for this assignments. Till the time we meet again, thank you very much.